I'm setting up these 7 squares so that I can go from one complementary color to the next. This first row is going to be going from red to green, and this is how you set them up. You just basically draw across your paper 7 squares with a pencil. What I did is I darkened them in a little bit so that you can see them better from where you're sitting. The top row is going to be going from red, which put an R over here, to green. The second row is going to be going from orange to blue, and the last row is going to go from yellow to purple. Now let's get our paint set up and we'll give it a try. Okay, I have my paint tray here and I'm going to squeeze out just about the size of a pea or twice the size of a pea in this paint tray. Let's put it right here. I'm using intense green and alizarin crimson. Now, normally you'd think that because it's red and green, if you mix them half and half, that would go here, but that's not true because this color is a little more intense than this. And blue is more intense than orange, purple is more intense than yellow, so it takes more yellow, less purple when you're mixing these together to get the right balance. So then I have my water dish here. I'm going to put my water dish over here. I'm going to put a little bit of water here. I'm going to start with my red. I'm going to put some red in it. That looks good. So this is going to be the red. So make sure it's kind of watery, and you put that in here. Let's add just a little bit more of the coloring, the pigment, and get that in there. And then we're going to get this to turn this red here and get this idea. So yes, that looks good. Then I'm going to do the green. So I'm going to clean the brush out. Just kind of squeeze it out down the side. Make sure it's clean. Then start with some fresh water. Let's put some green on this side. Over here. This intense green. And then I'm going to put that one right here. And so I've got this green. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of the green to the red. Squeeze out some of that. And then add just a little bit of green to this red here. And you'll see that already it's too much. So I'm going to do even less than that. And we're going to go through and make these here. So it's going to go red with a little bit of green, a little bit more green, and try to get the middle here, and then a little bit more green here until it gets over to here. So let me just do that and see how this turns out. Now this is not perfect, but you can see how the green has just a little bit more tint of red to it, and the red has a little bit more green tint to it. And the middle is going to be this grayish color. It's not a real brown, primarily because we're using alizarin crimson and intense green, and they're not true colors, but it gives you the idea of how to mix colors. Next, we're going to go to the orange and the blue. The next thing I want you to do is to take a hue like blue, red, orange, maybe purple. You can start with a solid color here and fade to white. So you're going to go here and you're just going to keep adding water and see if you can get nice shades as you go through here. And that's what I want you to try. Now we have this going from a dark blue to white. Even though it's not even, it shows you the gradation, how it works out. I'm going to give you a big wash brush. This is going to be about 1 inch across, and it takes a lot of water. And I'm going to want you to make some washes, and I want you to make 3 skies. I'm going to use purple, red, yellow, orange to create some bright skies. The first sky is just a normal sky. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my red. I get a lot of water in it. Get it really watery. And then you're gonna have a piece of cardboard. Use this to catch all the extra water, and then a sheet of paper. And we're gonna get this paper wet. Let me put this red back in here. And you just soak down this paper. Wet. Then I'm going to put my red at the top, my orange next, and my yellow toward the bottom. So it's going to be kind of a sunset sky. So now let's take this red. It's right here. I'm going to start putting this on here, and you're going to see it bleed. This is going to kind of go right down and just run right into the next area. And this is going to be good for skies where you don't want sharp edges. You can see how this works. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip this upside down and let the extra water run up. So I'm going to go like this and just let it go up. And then you get this nice kind of flame effect going up. And I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to do the next one. By the way, put your name down in the corner and pencil. The next wash I'm going to do is just going to be the same. I'm going to add the water to the top of the paper. This time I'm just going to get it all wet. So it's going to be a wet brush. This way the paint will run really well. So we got the water all over it. I'm going to take purple. It's called Purple Lake. I'm going to add a wash to it. It's all purple here. Let's put that on the top. And let's go to red. Again, if you need to squeeze your brush out and get the paint out, and go to your red. It's going to be this one here. Then next, let's go to orange. Squeeze that paint out. And let's put the yellow down at the bottom. What I'm going to do on this one, which is different than the last one, is I'm going to come in and add salt to it. So I got a bag of salt. I'm going to take a pinch and just kind of sprinkle it on top of the red purple area and see how that looks. It's going to be like this. You can go down the orange area. And it'll crystallize. Once it dries, you brush the salt off, and then you've got a different effect for this guy. And I'll show you that when it dries. The next guy I want to show you is how to create some clouds in a stormy sky using purple and red and orange. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to get my paper wet. Watercolor always dries lighter than when it's wet. So be aware of that as you're working with this. Let's do our purple. I'm going to put this on a little, try to put it on a little thicker, see how it works. Still could use just a little bit more purple, so I'm going to put another dab in here. Work it around with some water. Really get that on there. Now, if I start on one side and work all the way across the other, to get rid of these marks. I kind of like those, so let's put some of those back in there. Then let's do some red. Let's make some red up here in the purple and start coming down here. Then let's go to our orange. Get that down the bottom. I'm going to come back to the purple, see if I can get a little bit more up in there. And then, if you use a Kleenex, I want you to try this just to see what kind of effects you can get. By using this, you can dab in there and get some interesting shapes by dabbing out some clouds. Get this, and then this time I'm going to hold the paper this way and let it run down, actually at an angle like this. So what happens is it looks like it's almost a stormy sky with rain when it gets done. And then it'll dry and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. If you have time, I'd like to use this paintbrush, this wash brush, as a calligraphy pen. What you're going to do is you're going to come up with a hue or a color that you'd like to use. Say for instance, I'm going to use green, so I'm going to mix up the green a little bit darker than just a medium wash. It's going to be pretty dark, so that when I paint on this paper, it's pretty bold. So I'm getting my paint mixed up. And then what happens is I'm going to hold my brush at this angle, not tip it like this all over. I'm going to hold this angle and just write and see how the different angles come out, almost like a calligraphy pen. I'd like you to try this if you have time. So I'm going to do Rothfuss. So I start out here, then I do my R, pull straight down, then I come to here and dip back into here. I'm going to bring it, not touch the top, but come across like this. And then the bottom, I'm going to swing down for under the O. And then the O, it's going to be two sweeps. It's like a C and a backward C. There's one C. This time I'm going to touch into here a little bit. Then the T is just a stroke down, just a little bit to the side, and I'll bring it up to here. Then the H at the top, stop at the top of the T, but bring the leg down like this, stop like that. Then the F, let's see, let's pull from the top down like this. I'm going to pull over here and connect in here like this. And then let's just take the top over like that, and then do the same little arm like this. Then the U, get a little more paint here. Going to come across, stop here, come down here, little arm in the back. And then the S, I'm going to pull, let's pull down the top like this, and then swing in here like this, underneath the U. And I always like to do this little thing at the end. So I've got Rothfuss. And what I'm going to do is after it dries, I'm going to darken in the bottom part with another brush, but you can see how you can start to use this brush as a calligraphy pen. So coming back to here, this is the brush I'm going to use. It's going to be your flat. You can take this and kind of go along the outside edge and the bottom, just to see some of the effects that you can get. So what I'm doing is I'm doing to the left and down to see if I can get it three-dimensional. What I'm going to have you do now is to draw out a tree. I've got this little booklet on trees. You need to pick one of these trees and start drawing it out on the sunset that you've made. And I'm going to do the first one, I'm going to do a acacia tree, which I think is on the last page, something similar to like this, or even along this line here. I'm going to put that on here, and then I'm going to paint it in with Payne's Gray after that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Payne's Gray and fill this in. Normally I'd have you mix up your own black, but what I'd like you to do on this one is just to take this black, which is called Payne's Gray, and use this. You're going to put it in your tray, put about this much in there, add some water to it, and use your zero, your fine brush, to fill this in. So you're going to mix probably half water, half paint, or 2/3 water, 1/3 paint, and kind of get a nice little wash, a thick wash, and fill it in. Here's a close-up of what I'm doing. I'm using the paintbrush to almost the effect of stippling, but it's the lines, little dashes, so that you don't just do it in solid, but you get the effect that there's a layer of leaves and branches there. And I'm just kind of crisscrossing, getting this in there so I can get some nice gradation in there. Now what I'm going to do on this sunset is I'm going to use a few of these pine trees, draw them out, and then paint them in with a wash brush. I want to show you how to do that. Let me get this set here. Take your wash brush, and you can try this. What you're going to do is mix up your Payne's Gray, get a nice wash going here. Again, a little thicker than you used for your sky, because we need it to get a little bit more solid. So if you take your brush, your wash brush, and you kind of dab it at an angle, you can get the pine needles. And I'll try to show you closer what's going on here.